Esteemed guests, next session will be titled Technology, Building Futures for Refugees. Our keynote speakers, Mr. Mehmet Fatih Kacır, Deputy Minister of Industry and Technology, Turkey. Stage is yours, please. Welcome. And I would like to invite Ms. Esra Öztürk, founding president of the Maya Foundation, Turkey. Please, stage is yours. Sırayla ama herkesi sahneye davet edeceğim önce. Yes. Here you are, please. And moderator is Mr. Hiba Kanso, Middle East correspondent of the Thomson Reuters Foundation, Lebanon. Stage is yours. And panelists are Mr. Hakan Köstepen, Executive Director of the Panasonic USA. Stage is yours. Ms. Katarina Lump, Country Director of the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees. Stage is yours. Dr. Markus Schwerter, Lead Government Relations, Central and Eastern Europe and Middle East, Mediterranean, Africa, HP, Germany. Stage is yours. Ms. Zeynep Karagöz, the founder of the Robotel Turkey. Stage is yours. Mr. Deni Kuren, Director of Growth, European Union, ATEC Ireland. Stage is yours. Ms. Lydia Baselli, Head of Recruitment and Translation Service, Natakallam, USA. Please, stage is yours. There isn't enough? No? Ama beraber davet ediyorduk. Please, lectern is yours.
Saygıdeğer konuklar, 9. Boğaziçi Zirvesi'nin ve zirve kapsamında düzenlenen bu panelin gerçekleşmesinde başta Maya Vakfı ve değerli yöneticileri olmak üzere emeği geçen herkesi gönülden tebrik ediyorum. Toplantıların hayırlı neticelere vesile olmasını yürekten diliyorum. Bu paneli davet edildiğimde çok önemsedim. Hem Sanayi ve Teknoloji Bakanlığı olarak üzerinde çalıştığımız projeler, faaliyet alanlarımızla çok yakından ilgili bir konu. Ama bunun da ötesinde benim için kişisel olarak da çok önem verdiğim ve fiilen bireysel olarak da gayret göstermeye çalıştığım bir alan. Malumunuz Türkiye'miz dünyada en fazla misafire, uluslararası misafire, ben bu mülteci kelimesine de hiç ısınamamışımdır. O yüzden hep misafir kelimesini, uluslararası misafir kelimesini tercih ederim. Uluslararası misafire ev sahipliği yapan ülkelerin başında geliyor. Milyonlarca misafirimiz, başta Suriye'den olmak üzere bu topraklarda yaşıyor. Bu tabii bu toprakların sadece son yıllarda karşı karşıya geldiği bir durum değil. Biz geçmişte de hangi coğrafyadan, hangi dinden, hangi etnisiteden olursa olsun başı sıkışan, derde düşen, yaşama mücadelesi veren herkese umut olmuşuz. Bu topraklar herkesin umut yurdu olmuş. Dolayısıyla bugünkü ev sahipliğimiz de aslında tarihten gelen bir geleneğin ve bir misyonun bir neticesi diye ben düşünüyorum. Ve bundan büyük bir onur ve gurur duymalıyız diye düşünüyorum. Tabii sadece bu coğrafyada değil, dünyanın dört bir yanında çeşitli sebeplerle insanlar evlerini, yurtlarını terk ederek, hayatlarını değiştirmek zorunda kalarak göç ediyorlar. Birleşmiş Milletler verilerine göre dünyada 65 milyondan fazla insan mülteci konumunda. Ve bunların yarıdan fazlası 18 yaşın altında. Böyle düşündüğümüzde bir yandan çok küçük yaşta insanların çok büyük zorluklarla karşı karşıya kalmaları, hayata tutunmak zorunda kalmaları bizlere acı verirken, bir yandan da işte bu panelin de konusu olan teknolojinin mülteciler için sunacağı fırsatlar açısından çok sayıda genç olması, onların teknolojiye yüksek adaptasyon sahibi olmalarının fırsat olabileceğine inanıyorum. Tabii teknolojinin sunduğu fırsatlar dediğimizde akla en önce eğitim fırsatları geliyor. Sadece mülteciler için değil, herkes için eğitim sistemindeki hızlı değişim ve dönüşüm, teknolojinin, dijitalleşmenin eğitimde giderek daha etkin kullanılması ve bu sayede ortaya çıkan kişiselleştirilmiş eğitim uygulamaları, mültecilerin göç ettikleri topraklara adaptasyonlarında ve o topraklarda eğitim görmelerinde yepyeni fırsatlar doğuruyor. Çok değil, yakın zamana kadar sadece konvansiyonel eğitim konuşuyorduk. Sadece sınıfa giren bir öğretmenin sınıfın ortalamasına göre eğitim vermek zorunda kaldığı bir çerçeveden bahsediyorduk. Ama artık dijitalleşmiş uygulamalarla, online eğitim fırsatlarıyla herkesin kendi öğrenme hızına ve eğilimlerine uyarlılaştırılmış içeriklerin ve uygulamaların giderek yaygınlaştığını görüyoruz. Dolayısıyla aslında bütün bunlar milyonlarca insanın misafir olduğu ülkelerde o ülkenin henüz dilini tam öğrenmemişken, o ülkenin kültürüne henüz tam entegre ve adapte olmamışken eğitim hayatlarından kopmamaları için çok önemli olanaklar sunuyor. Tabii dijital ve biyometrik kimliklerin kullanılması, blok zincir gibi teknolojilerin kişisel verilerin saklanmasında değerlendirilmesi, toplanmış mültecilerle ilgili toplanmış verilerin toplulaştırılmış halde bulut sistemlerinde saklanması ve işlenmesi, büyük verinin analiz edilmesi, geliştirilen projelerin bu veriler ışığında, bu veri analizleri ışığında yapılması, savaşta bir uzvunu kaybetmiş bir insanın 3D printerlarla üretilmiş olan uzuvlarla yeniden hayata tutunmasına imkan tanınması, teknolojinin mülteciler için etkin şekilde kullanımı anlamında verebileceğimiz başkaca örnekler. Bizler Sanayi ve Teknoloji Bakanlığı olarak, ki Sayın Bakanımız Mustafa Varank çok selamlarını iletti her birinize ama çok yoğun programı var. Dolayısıyla buraya benim vekaleten katılmamı öngördüler. Bizler bir yandan yoğun olarak Türkiye'de yaşayan mültecilerle ilgili Avrupa Birliği fonlarının kullanıldığı projeleri de etkin olarak yönetmeye gayret ediyoruz. Ve burada da AB Güven Fonu'nun etkin olarak kullandığı projelerde de 4 ana alanda yoğunlaşmış durumdayız. İş ortamını iyileştirmek, mülteciler arasında girişimciliği arttırmak, mültecilerin eğitim ihtiyaçlarını gidermek ve sağlık ve sosyal altyapıyı iyileştirici projeler yürütmek bizim önceliklendirdiğimiz 4 alan. Bu alanlarda da çalışmalarımızı sürdürüyoruz. Çok kıymetli, ben hepsinin özgeçmişlerini de okudum gelmeden. Açıkçası heyecanla bekliyorum anlatacaklarını. Çok kıymetli panelistlerimiz var, o yüzden sözü çok uzatmak istemiyorum. Yalnız bir şey daha hatırlatıp sözlerimi tamamlamayı tercih ediyorum. Periskop diye bir program var. Kullananlar var mı Periskop'u? Görebilir miyim? Periskop nedir bilen var mı? Periskop. Evet. Salonun yarısı aşağı yukarı biliyor. Belki çok farkında değiliz. Periskop'u cep telefonumuzda açtığımızda orada bir yazı çıkıyor. Hiç o yazıya dikkat eden olduğumu görebilir miyim? Orada şu yazıyor. Periskop, Amerika'da yaşayan mülteciler tarafından üretilmiştir gururla. Dolayısıyla teknoloji, mültecilerin hayatını kolaylaştırmanın yanında aslında çoğunlukla yer değiştiren, göç eden, hicret eden, iltica eden insanlar tarafından geliştiriliyor. Dolayısıyla bizim mutlaka bu insanlara, mültecilere, özellikle genç yaşlarda, çocuk yaşlarda fırsatlar sunmamız lazım. Benim kurucularından olduğum Türkiye Teknoloji Takımı Vakfı'nda hali hazırda İstanbul'da 96 ki binlerce mülteci öğrenci arasından seçildiler. 96 öğrenci 3 yıl süren teknoloji eğitimleri görüyor. Robotik, kodlama, nesnelerin interneti, siber güvenlik, yapay zeka gibi alanlardan oluşan eğitimleri Gençlik ve Spor Bakanlığı ile Türkiye Teknoloji Takım Vakfı ortaklığında halihazırda İstanbul Fatih'teki teknoloji atölyesinde sürdürüyoruz. Vakıf bir yandan binlerce Türk öğrenci eğitimler verirken bir yandan da bu gerçeği de dikkate alarak teknolojinin çoğunlukla gelişimini, Ar-Ge'nin, inovasyonun çoğunlukla hayata tutunma mücadelesi veren insanlar tarafından dünyada geliştirildiği gerçeğinde dikkate alarak bu çalışmayı sürdürüyoruz. Dolayısıyla benim çok değerli misafirlerimizden, çok değerli dinleyicilerimizden de beklentim aslında hayatın içerisinde etrafımızda gördüğümüz her bir misafiri, her bir uluslararası misafiri hem bu ülke için hem de insanlık için bir fırsat olarak addetmemiz. Ben başta Esra Hanım olmak üzere Maya Vakfı'nın değerli yöneticilerine ve bu organizasyonda emeği geçen herkese ve bütün konuşmacılarımıza çok çok teşekkür ediyorum. Heyecanla paneli dinliyor olacağım. Hoşça kalınız.
Hello, everybody. Thank you all for coming. Just to reintroduce everybody, which we will momentarily to our wonderful panelists. My name is Hiba Kanso. I am the Middle East correspondent for the Thomson Reuters Foundation. And I would like to personally introduce the reason why we are all here, the president and founder of Maya Foundation, Ezra Aswer. Please.
Thank you, Hiba. Mr. Deputy Minister, it's an honor to have you by our side tonight. Dear guests, friends, I'm honored. I'm honored this morning to have you here and to present Maya Vakfı. It's a great pleasure to be here as the founder president of Maya Vakfı amongst all of you. And I welcome you, my panelists, and I commend for all your good work that you all do. I welcome also our contributions that we've been made by our Cengiz Bey and all the workers that, you know, the organizers. We're here today to collectively learn about shared ideas on the subject of the use of technology. I'm personally here to share my experience as the president of Maya Vakfı Foundation. Maya was founded with a dream, and this dream of a productive society, open to exploration, helping others, and filled with healthy individuals to have a free childhood and safe individuals who have had a free childhood in their September 2014. Maya works through main 4 pillars. One is MHPSS program. It's a psychosocial support program for children and refugees and host community. The second is trauma-informed schools. The third is capacity building for psychosocial support program. And the fourth is volunteer program. Maya Vakfı believes that all people deserve a human and live humanly and hope for the future. Therefore, contributes to the mental, physical, and academic development of children. And young people that we work with are between the age 5 and 18. The foundation supports them toward realizing their potential, expressing themselves freely, developing creative thinking skills, and becoming productive. We carry out extensive programs with the contribution of local, international funds while collaborating with private and public institutions. Maya Vakfı places disadvantaged and traumatized children at the core of its activities. And we strive to increase the sensitivity and capacity of the people and institutions and children that interact with. We can speak of all the injustices that's suffered by people who have been forcibly displaced all day long. Today, the number of refugees, asylum seekers, and displaced people worldwide are simply staggering. When we dehumanize these populations and don't offer hope, we lose out collectively as humankind. This dehumanization of the other concerns all of us, but is preventable. Whilst their circumstances are extraordinary, many of the concerns of refugees are ones that would be familiar to people everywhere that are still in need of many services, like emergency relief aid, service access to education, mental health, psychosocial services, housing, referrals, their civil rights, finding employment. We have amongst you a lot of people here that I know of that have contributed immensely to those needs. We need to bring universal compassion back to the forefront of our interactions and respond to those who have suffered injustices. So I want to raise one question. How to mitigate this dehumanization conditions? One solution is to empower refugees with technology use and leverage solutions. The most recent wave of technology is a wave of technological innovation. So technology is good at connecting people and transferring knowledge to help refugees. So tech solutions have emerged to help refugees at every stage of their journey, from smartphones helping plan routes to finding housing, translation languages, job hunting, health services, educational opportunities, supporting social inclusion efforts. Tech helps scale up response, improve collaborations between NGOs, offer solutions where there are gaps. Today, we have the opportunity to combine the best practices in human-centered design with informed technology choices to build new products, the map over the social technology of aid in ways to empower individuals and strengthen communities. I'm aware too that the technology does not come without detractors. In humanitarian crisis, the technological innovations do not easily translate into ethical advances. And there has been criticisms when considering issues such as a person's right to privacy. Nevertheless, aid agencies have shown that technology can be combined with ethical practices in order to move towards a more flexible and human-driven relief system. It's already being used to improve refugees' access to finance and to support their individual autonomy. Innovation helps overhead costs and reduce the role of financial intermediaries, which means that more funds can go to more beneficiaries. Applied responsibility technology can give humanitarian ethical ideals to new life. This panel was brought together through a series of happy coincidences. Hiba wrote a wonderful article on Thomson Reuters Foundation. I suggest you all read. It was on the role of technology and refugees last summer. Hakan has been introduced to me through someone I met on a plane last summer, and we became close friends. I saw Denny's boss and on another conference, and thank you for being here today, Denny. Katerina has been supporting Maya Foundation through UNHCR and is a representative for all NGOs, and thank you. Zeynep is designing a fascinating project in Turkey for 3D printing prosthetics. I thank her also for being here. Lydia is focusing on language app development and was profiled in Hiba's article. That's why it's interesting to follow her. Marcus, I connected to Marcus after meeting his colleague at the UNGA in September. So all my friends, did I skip anyone? I don't know. But all my friends here are really here by a coincidence that we got connected. So here we are all today for all of you. Today, after we listen to some technical solutions in response to all the struggles of forced displacement, I call on all of you to build empathy, to build compassion for let's get together. I hope you will be moved by the plight of refugees. We should work together to empower the whole disadvantaged community. We can build a global, distributed, collaborative human rights action. Private sector, technology, philanthropists, advocates, communities, companies, researchers, working for and within a common framework. This dehumanization concerns all of us, but it is heartwarming to see under these conditions an enabling environment. So here today, this will create more opportunities to build a brighter future all. I know many of you in this room, you work in the field to make sure and to make a positive contribution in this major problem of humanity. I hope this event will bring an opportunity for us to collaborate, to partnership collectively, and to live more humanely. Once we make an action, we're responsible for this action. And don't forget to hashtag. Our hashtag is Together for the Better Future. And thank you. Enjoy today.
Thank you so much, Ezra. And I think if this still is going on, we have two examples of work that some of our panelists have done in relation to technology and refugees. That's rolling today.
5 million people have fled Syria since 2011, of which more than 1 million have poured into Lebanon. Because of the influx of refugees into Lebanon, the educational system is stretched beyond its reach. With the help of HP, Google.org, and UNICEF, the Clooney Foundation for Justice is funding 8 schools, serving 3,000 students who won't have to fall through the cracks.
Aid and technology normally don't go hand in hand. Until now. Every year, the richest countries in the world donate more than $100 billion in foreign aid. Secretary General of the UN, Ban Ki-moon, says that 30% of this money is lost to corruption and fraud. This means that the people who need aid most don't receive it. Currently, aid is distributed by hand across the world, and it's a very complicated process. Ensuring the right person gets the right help at the right time is critical. This is where AidTech provides a solution, bringing aid and technology together to ensure a fully transparent process. Our solution uses blockchain technology to instantly send resources to anybody in the world with complete traceability. The blockchain is a distributed ledger. It contains permanent immutable records of all transactions that have ever occurred. In AidTech's solution harnesses blockchain in 4 ways. First, NGOs, governments and charities can quickly capture a beneficiary's details, creating a digital identity on our platform. Then, assets that represent entitlements are quickly created. These assets can then be easily distributed to individuals, families or groups using our intelligent vouchers. Beneficiaries can obtain products and services that they are entitled, even in offline environments. Best of all, every transaction can be traced and reported upon in real time, helping governments, charities and NGOs increase the transparency and efficiency of the distribution of resources. Visit now, aid.technology.
All right. Thing on. Hello? Hello? Can you guys hear me okay? Okay. So I want to do another introduction to our wonderful panelists, and this is in no particular order, so when I say your name, if you can just raise your hand. I know there's also name tags there. Danny Curran, he's the Director of Growth for Aid Tech. We just saw the video there. He is based in Ireland. We have Katarina Lum. She's the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, UNHCR, country representative here in Turkey. Dr. Markus Schwerl, he is the lead government relations for HP, based in Germany. Zeynep Karagöz, she is the founder of Robotel, based in Turkey. Lydia Bassali, she's the head of recruitment and translation interpretation service at Natakallam in Egypt. And Hakan Göztepen, executive director of product strategy and innovation for Panasonic, based in California. Thank you all so much for being here. And I want to get started right away on our first questions here for our panelists and for our audience, to see and understand your work with technology and using tech within the refugee community. So in relation to your work within refugees, what kind of impact, and we're talking here long-term impact, can engaging technology within this community really have? And what is one big challenge that each of you face within using technology in this field? And I'd like to start down the line. So I think it's Lydia. If you can start us off, that would be great.
Sure. Hello. Well, thank you so much for having me on this panel. It's such an honor and a pleasure to be here, and especially with such amazing panelists next to me. To start, I will brief you on what Natakallam is, because I can imagine a lot of people in the room may not be familiar with Natakallam. Natakallam is the word for we speak in Arabic. And it's a social enterprise that began in 2015. Our offices are based in New York. I work remotely out of Egypt, which is a benefit of technology, that we can work remotely. Anyway, so Natakallam is an enterprise, and our main purpose is to connect refugees, displaced people, with opportunities to make an income. And we do so through two ways. The first one is that refugees act as language tutors and teachers online. So we recognize that refugees have assets and skills that can be leveraged to making an income for themselves. You have students all over the world that want to learn Arabic, French, Spanish, Persian, whatever it may be, and then you have skilled refugees that know these languages and can teach them online. So this is the first way that we provide an income for refugees, and the second way is that we onboard them as translators. There are multiple companies, NGOs, private sector, places that have a lot of translation needs, whether it be documents, whether it be video or audio material. And then you have, once again, a skilled tier of refugees that can provide these services. And so Natakallam is sort of the bridging gap. It is the platform where we connect these two demands. And obviously, the use of technology is essential for this. All our work is done remotely, whether it be through email exchange, whether it's through Skype exchange. But I think that the long-term impact, if we're talking really about long-term, this is not just meeting an immediate need for making an income that these refugees have, but it's also engaging them in developing professionalism, developing marketable skills, having cross-culture exchange with students of different cultures, which is so necessary in our increasingly polarized global system. And most of all, teaches them what it looks like to have, to act professional and to have an email exchange, the culture of email exchange. We've had some of our refugees, start using signatures under their names in emails. And so it's something that has grown them in many ways. It's something that they can put on their resumes as they look into other job opportunities, and also through their connections with different people around the world. In some cases, it has helped them with resettlement and also introducing them to different job opportunities. But I think if we're also just to mention the idea of challenges, technology, as great as it is, it also can hinder human interaction and face-to-face interaction. And I know at Natakallam, since our team is everywhere and we always are communicating by computer and by email exchange, it can really hinder that quality time that we have with humans. And so even, whenever I'm on trips, like now I'm in this trip in Istanbul, and I'm planning to meet with some of our language partners that are based in Istanbul and hoping to get that face-to-face interaction with them. Obviously, another challenge is lack of access to internet, lack of access to laptops or smartphones, in which case we hope to partner with NGOs on the ground that can provide these tools and resources that are necessary to carry out the work. So overall, I just want to say that, to summarize as well, that technology for us is not necessarily the end. It is a means to an end. The end and the right goal is to enhance cross-cultural exchange, to have more human interaction, and targeting those that are already skilled and already have the brilliance, and just simply giving them the avenue to leverage that into making an income. Thank you.
Danny, go ahead. It's all you.
Thank you. First of all, thank you very much for having me here today. It's an honor to be here. Special thanks to Ezra for the invitation. Thank you. Wonderful work being done by the foundation. That has really inspired me. You may have seen from the video, it gave a short explanation of blockchain technology. There is a lot of white noise, as we call it, around blockchain technology. People may think that blockchain is cryptocurrency. They may think that blockchain is Bitcoin, but it is not. We use and harness the power of blockchain technology to make a difference, to make an impactful difference. In 2015, we were the first company in the world to deliver aid to Syrian refugees in the Lebanon. Since 2015, this has come along leaps and bounds, and we're using the technology that we've created and the platform to make a difference, to make an impactful difference. You may already know, or may not, but there are 2.4 billion people worldwide that lack a legal identity. If you lack a legal identity, that restricts you from services such as welfare entitlements, healthcare entitlements, remittance, donations, aid, all of which people are rightly entitled to. Using blockchain technology and using our platform, we assign the recipient, the beneficiary at the end, we assign them a digital identity, and we assign those entitlements as a digital asset. That means by using the technology in this most basic type form, whether it be the use of a plastic card with a QR code on that card, that person, that beneficiary, wherever they are in the world, can receive their entitlements. Presently, we're working with a number of partners on the ground in Syria. We're working in the Lebanon. We're working in Serbia for the use of the technology in remittance. We're also working in a number of other countries. Recently, we launched a public donation application called Trace Donate. Trace Donate, again, is harnessing the use of blockchain technology so that people can donate directly to an individual or a group of people or an overall appeal. So there are a number of NGOs using that technology right now today. It has already gone live with the Red Cross in Ireland and soon to go live in the US this week with another large aid organization. They're able to cut down on the costs of the fees that are applicable when making a donation, whether that be transaction fees, administration fees. If the fees are reduced or not reduced, then the donor pays for those fees up front, so that 100% of your donation that you may make goes directly and straight to the beneficiary. It's revolutionary, but it is also a simple technology. And I think Heba's question asking, you know, what are the inhibitors to it? Again, blockchain has been misunderstood, if I could say that. Blockchain is a very simple technology if used in the right way and if it's used in the best way. Blockchain can show transparency. It can show the impact of maybe even something as simple as a donation that you're making. And it also gives trust back to the sector that has been lost over the years for numerous reasons. So by harnessing the use of blockchain technology, making that technology simple and not complicated, there are different types of technologies out there. We look at iris scanners, facial recognition, which are all fantastic and may be used in the correct setting. But technology is not meant to complicate a process. Technology should be to simplify a process, to make whatever you're trying to achieve more impactful, to make whatever you're trying to achieve more transparent, so that the people that are supporting the projects, wherever they be in the world, and the group of people that you're supporting, see the end result of it. I think that as the technology develops, as blockchain technology develops, there is going to be a lot of confusion around blockchain, but it is I think it's on everybody, whatever tech that we use in the sector, wherever it may be in the world, to try and make that more simple, because what would work in one area and one country may not work in the other. For example, when we're using the technology to track the movement of refugees, that may work in the place of origin, but it may not work in the place of destination. So we need to make sure that the technology that's being used crosses all borders.
Zeynep, please.
Hello. My name is Zeynep Karagöz. I'm very happy to be amongst all of you, dear guests and dear panelists. Technology changed my life, as did all of us, but it also changed my professional life. That's why I'm here. I'm here with two hats, actually. One of them is an NGO hat, which is said we provide 3D printed mechanical hands, especially for children who do not have access to prosthetics until they're fully grown, because prosthetics are very expensive, they're growing so fast, they cannot be reached. But these 3D printed mechanical hands provide a gateway for those children, both physically and mentally and emotionally, to make their lives better, because we enable them to feel not less than others, but just different from others. In that sense, Robotel Turkey is an NGO, and we use technology as a tool. But I'm also here with my second hand. I'm a social entrepreneur in the Maker Movement. I've been volunteering with the Maker Movement for a very long time. But we decided to take it to a different level for sustainability. We've been doing a lot of volunteer work, but in order for us to sustain the work that we did, we started a business, which is currently the biggest and the first makerspace in Turkey. And we are using technology as a language there. Yes, we are using it as a tool also, but technology brings different kinds of people from different backgrounds in the same room, and we can all speak the same language towards a common goal. For that purpose, I think technology is a very sustainable language for creating solutions for refugees as well. As far as the challenge goes, I think the biggest challenge is accessibility, as Lydia said, to tools, to hardware, sometimes the laptops, mobile devices. But sometimes I think we can overcome that by using shared economy tools, because now we're going towards a future where we are sharing everything, not only our places, but also our time, our workspaces, our tools. So maybe we can overcome this challenge by using some of the tools that we have and sharing them with other people, so that we can be driven to a better future.
Thank you. Marcus, go ahead.
Thanks. So, does that work? Yeah, it does. Thanks for having me here. Great pleasure and honor. As HP, we are a company that produces laptops, printers, 3D printing, PCs. So it is such a great opportunity to be at a conference like this, where the Deputy Minister already opened with everything that I wanted to say, what technology can bring and do in an environment for that. So thank you so much for stealing my words already. It was a pleasure to see this great alignment, and overall at conferences where we talk about something really serious like a crisis situation, suddenly technology becomes the heart of what it should be. It's a tool. It's a tool to solve problems. It's nothing that is a standalone that can work alone. And this is also what we as HP are doing in the work supporting the refugee work overall. You've seen the short video at the beginning where we were working in Lebanon with UNICEF and the Ministry of Education and Higher Education to help the second shift schools to be more effective in teaching and learning. And it's not about putting devices in front of students. It is about what do students need to get a better learning outcome, and technology is the tool to help for that. So therefore, this is how we engage in quite a few countries. The big challenge that we see as a multinational company is how do you bring the right ecosystems of partners together? Because it can't be that we as HP go into a place and decide this is how it has to be. It is about how do you set the right ecosystem of partners together. And that's why we worked, for example, in Lebanon as well as in Jordan with UNHCR to identify who are the right players to work with in the government sector, in the NGO world, to create the right ecosystem of players to do the right thing. Because the complexity of running projects like that, we as a company, we can't manage that ourselves. We have to rely on partnerships, and how to build them and make them sustainable and keep them going, and being clear that expectations are properly set and then met. That is the big challenge that we face.
Great. Katerina, please. Thank you.
Good, just now afternoon. Speaking for UNHCR, the UN Refugee Agency, maybe to start, and some of it has already been mentioned, that compared to other sectors, in particular private sector, and but also public institutions, humanitarian organizations like mine, we were far behind in time when it came to adopting or adapting to new technologies. It's not surprising because very often we work in conflict situations in very remote places and in running emergencies. The first time I was confronted with technology entering a refugee crisis, it was in fact communication technologies. It was when, during the Kosovo crisis, the first thing arriving Kosovo refugees did was trying to look for a place they could charge their mobile phones. And if you look at refugee camps, that's maybe not the first thing you would think of putting in place. But this, ever since, became more and more something that we, even in our emergency response, had to adapt to. By now, and we've heard quite a number of examples, and also the Deputy Minister mentioned some, the application of technologies has become increasingly commonplace in humanitarian responses. We started with mass SMS systems to inform refugees of where to go for a particular service. We have hotlines now. We have methods of mobile data collection. We have registration systems that incorporate biometric features. We use virtual goggles in our external communication. And we have digital platforms for distance learning. So now we apply many technological solutions, but we have to bear in mind, and for us as a humanitarian organization, that's the focus. The focus is on the refugees and it's on the communities. We are looking at ways to improve their lives and to live with dignity. That means that technology, any product or any service, has to really serve this end. It's never technology or innovation for the sake of it. It always has to be to respond to concrete needs and to challenges. I want to focus, speaking to the challenge, on communication technology. Over the last 25 years or so, communication and mobile communication, digital communication have really changed the world and have changed our lives. We don't so much complain about the scarcity of information or access to information, we complain about overload. That's, however, not the case for refugees. And arguably for refugees, it's even more important to stay in touch and connect to family, to friends, to communities through communication, digital or social and mobile communication. However, many of the refugees are living without the connectivity they need for vital information, how to access services without the possibility to communicate easily with loved ones. They either often live in places that lack the digital networks or the infrastructure, or the connectivity that's available to them is simply too expensive. We undertook, UNHCR, a study, a research on the level of connectivity of refugees globally, and the research found, one, that refugees often spend up to a third of what they have on communication, so it's costs that is prohibitive to their connectivity and to their ability to communicate easily. And that globally refugees are 50% less likely than the general population to have access to internet-enabled phones. And that 29% of refugee households have no phone at all, compared to only about 12% of global households. There is therefore really an enormous opportunity and a potential to enhance the lives of refugees if we are able to increase their access to connectivity and their ability to use it to help themselves and help their communities. And in all of our interaction with refugees and refugee communities, in fact, the communication and the ability to communicate easily was identified as the #1 priority. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please, Hakan.
All right, so I'm going to go back to what really Deputy Minister said instead of refugees, the guests. I like that. And the guests, when you think in philosophical terms, we're all really guests on this planet. We came from somewhere, we're going to go somewhere. And in America, as you know, we had these fires in California, so we had a lot of people becoming, guests overnight. So Esra also said empathy or dehumanizing, rehumanizing the, guests that area. So I think when you look at the both, in reality, Turkey is a very dynamic place. Refugees from Syria makes it a perfect lab for Panasonic. And Panasonic is a Japanese company. We are in Japan on earthquake zone, so is Turkey. So when you look at the instability in the world, we're going to have more of these man-made disasters or nature-made disasters or political instability. So we see a lot of this guests moving around in the world. So I think Turkey brings a lab. We could do so many things from the technology point of view. And my responsibility in Silicon Valley Center within Panasonic, looking into mobility, we call it Mobility 4.0, which is people mobility, things mobility, and energy and information mobility. So when you think about people today, the connectivity, all those are important, absolutely. But you have to have the energy infrastructure. You have to have the information infrastructure. So it becomes very much very systemic solution that you have to tie it all together. And I believe, as Heba told us, 1 to 2 minutes, keep the responses short. So I'll stay to that. Maybe I'll pass it to you, Heba.
Sure thing. Thank you, guys. It was incredibly thoughtful and really interesting points that you guys are each making within your specific work, introducing, developing, including technology within this refugee community. And I'm curious to know is how do each of you, and in no particular order, not leave out marginalized groups within your work? Because I can imagine that is very difficult for people, let's say maybe that don't have access to computers, they don't have access to telephones, or that might not have the resources to even get to you. How do you guys work with that within your day-to-day? Go ahead, please.
We're speaking of technology, but I think that's important if we speak about technology and refugees or humanitarian responses. It's important that also the techies in the private sector in particular take account of a few important principles in humanitarian approaches. One is participation. And I mentioned that the focus needs to be on from our work, the focus needs to be on the refugees, not on the technology. An important feature in humanitarian work is participation of those that we intend to serve or provide a technological solution to. Participation in the planning, in the design, in the implementation and in the evaluation, and participation of the very diverse groups, age, gender, and also in terms with regard to refugees, nationality, diversity. So we plan and we discuss with the refugees before we start coming up with what the best response and solution to their to the challenge, to their need is. So we take in the diverse views, the habits, the different habits, and particularly when it comes to communication, finding out what communication tools refugees are using, which age groups, women, elderly. So how can we communicate best with them? Here in Turkey, that was relatively straightforward because, in fact, 77% of the refugees we spoke to, they use smartphones. So that's also a good way to reach them. 61% use social media, so that's another good way to reach them. So based on that, we develop our communication tools, and we decide which technologies to use in order to be able to best communicate with them. And that way, you are also really responding to not leaving marginalized groups out of it. So you normally end up having a diversity of communication tools in order to reach and communicate with all of them.
Great, thank you.
I just want to give you 1 minute answer again. So the point is here, what Maya does, which we like so much, the kids. Most of the time in these environments, kids are left aside. And I think this is very critical because as you leave the kids aside, you do create more problems. So in this sense, I'm very happy and give the credit to Esra that in Silicon Valley, Maya Vakfı is recognized by Google, Facebook, some of the gift programs. That's big. So the biggest challenge is how do you make these not only for certain groups, but also scale to others too. I think in that sense, the kids, I would say, the most important piece in our focus.
Go ahead.
In a perspective looking towards accessibility, which was the biggest challenge that I mentioned, referring to Dr. Marcus here, I think cooperation and participation very connected there is the key. Because, as I said earlier, we own a lot of stuff, but we don't use them all the time. So cooperation and shared economy could be the key to this accessibility solution. I'm just going to give you an example that we did 2 days ago on Sunday. We did a coding workshop for kids who were in sevgi evleri, kids who've been traumatized from their parents and have been displaced in homes. And we did this, we were the solution that we gave them coding as a language to connect to the world, to each other, and to feel that they can establish something, to feel valuable. But in order to do that, we also collaborated with volunteers from universities. They provided the logistics. They took the kids from the homes. They provided the space. We did it in a university where the computer room was not used at all during the weekends. So it's a collaboration of all these factors coming together that are enabling the kids to feel safe and productive at the same time. And I believe this can be done in all ages, in all places, in all stuff, sharing places, tools, and time. And sharing our time is it's also very important as well. That's, I think, a very good starting point.
Thank you. And Marcus wanted to say something, and then we'll go down to... Yes.
So it relates back to what I mentioned as one of the big challenges. It's this collaboration, and how do you get this ecosystem of partners together? How not to leave out marginalized communities. From a, again, multinational perspective, this is really something that is not our core competency as a company, and that is why we rely on these partnerships. So the approach that we take is having a globally consistent offering, like PCs and printers, but making it locally relevant for the program, for the project where this is needed and where it should make a difference. This is where this partnership and ecosystem has to kick in. And sometimes multinationals like us, we're then a bit, we seem to be under pressure and we have to deliver on time, but we totally understand that it needs time to provide due diligence and to do the right things beforehand. And that is why trusting and relating in partners in the NGO world and in the multilateral organization world is really critical, because we can't do it alone, and we don't even think that we can do it alone. So we really rely on this partnership for exactly building, reaching out to marginalized populations, but all the other elements that need to be taken care of, this has to be put in a plan beforehand and executed together.
So working together. Danny, I believe you wanted to say something as well.
Thank you, Heba. I think that there is great technology available and great technology up and coming, but the technology still needs to be kept simple for the end user, for the beneficiary. So the technology can be as complicated in the background, but the user of that technology or the beneficiary of that technology has to find it simple and easy to use. You are adapting the technology to the program or the beneficiary, and not the beneficiary or the program to the technology. And that's what you see. At a recent meeting back in Ireland I had with an NGO, they came to us, and it was the director of IT, and they said, "Danny, we need blockchain." I thought, okay, what for? What would you like to use it for? What are you thinking of? And they didn't. They wanted to adapt the new technology. They wanted to use new technology. They wanted to be seen as an organization that, was moving forward. But if that technology does not suit them, if it doesn't work, if it's not impactful enough for the end user, for the beneficiary, then don't use the technology.
Did you want to say?
Right. No, I mean, this question is obviously really important. How do you really reach the most marginalized? But it also kind of makes me think, to reverse the question a little bit, because it's often the most marginalized that are supported by NGOs and that are targeted by NGOs. But what about those that are skilled? What about those that are already have the assets, but are not really supported by many people, because oftentimes we have this idea, oh, refugees are poor, and we need to kind of break away from that mindset, because not all refugees look the same, and obviously there's 65 plus million of them, so there's no one size fits all solution to everything. But when it comes to Netakalam, we're focusing on those that are already skilled, already are brilliant, and it's often those that are just bored. They have the skills, but they're bored. They don't know how to leverage it. They don't have a platform to perform their brilliance. And it's often those people that are vulnerable to being radicalized. And so it's really important to also find solutions for them and stir away, and not only focused on the marginalized, those that are really hard to reach, because I think there are a lot of efforts already going towards that, but very few efforts on those that are not necessarily in camps, are already integrated in urban populations, and could use a platform to also perform.
Thank you so much. Unfortunately, we have to wrap up, but everybody got to answer that second question as well. I just want to thank each and every one of you for being here, and in particular to Maya Foundation and Ezra for having us up here. It is an incredibly important discussion to have, especially when we think about refugees. A lot of people's minds, when they think about aid, they think about food, medicine, but technology, as we can see, is very much important in this discussion and should continue to stay in our discussions when we're talking about this community. So thank you to all of you for being here, and please catch our panelists and the founder as well afterwards if you guys want to continue the discussion as well. Thank you all very much. Thank you guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you. But please stay on the stage, because we will present honor awards for you. Yeah. But first of all, I would like to invite to the stage Mr. Esra Öztürk, founder president of the Maya Foundation, and we will present first of all her honor awards, and after that we will give Mr. Fatih Çakır an honor award. Welcome. And I would like to invite Mr. Cengiz Özgenci. Okay. Size vermiştim. Esra Hanım'ın ödülü size verdim. Okay. We will continue. Evet. You can give. İsmini söyle canım, ismini söyle. Sırayla vereceksin Esra Hanım'a, sırayla vereceksin. Üzerindeki isimlere bakarak ver. Thank you. Thank you so much. Esteemed guests, we continue quickly. Thank you so much. We would like to thank our esteemed